Welcome to B2B Marketing Methods. I'm your host, Terry Hoffman, and I'm the CEO of Marketing Refresh. Let's face it, embracing digital marketing is daunting. This podcast was created to make it more approachable. Join me as we talk to CEOs, sales leaders, and revenue growth experts who will share lessons learned and tips from their own journeys. So, I want to dive into some of the things we previewed.
Okay.
When I opened. What are some of, I touched on one or two of them, but like, what are the things you hear as far as, I don't really think I want a podcast. I get why a podcast could help my brand, but let me tell you all the reasons why, or what they're thinking are the reasons why a podcast may not work for their brand or fit for us. Like one, for example, would be, do I have to be on camera? And do all of my guests have to be on camera? And what are the angles? And what do I wear? And I mean, we run into difficulties with that just for a headshot, right? A lot of people don't like the way that they look and they don't like the way that they present themselves. It makes you self-conscious. But what are some of, if that's one example, maybe you can elaborate on that and just talk about some of the things you commonly hear.
Yeah, definitely. So one is that what people believe a podcast is. So when we started, initially a podcast is largely audio only, but podcasting has changed and accelerated into full scale video as well. And so I think that shift, sometimes when people think about applying a strategy, they're still thinking through it through the lens of like, we're going to sit down on a mic and just have an audio only podcast.
Yeah.
And they're really not thinking about the opportunity that having a audio video podcast creates for them. So I think that's one. It's just, oh, well, we don't need an audio strategy because they're still thinking about a podcast as audio only. So that's one. Two, I think, is they don't understand how this works within their sales cycle or for their marketing. Largely, people still attribute it to just brand awareness. Oh, this is just great top of funnel brand awareness. And the best brands that I know are using it for sales enablement. They're using it for business development as far as the networking and guesting perspective of it. There's a lot of different ways strategically you embed this that I feel like people overlook. They deduce it to, this is for brand awareness.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit more. Give me an example of how that would work.
So for example, on the guesting strategy, when we think about networking and business development in B2B, we do that already. We do that at conferences.
Yeah.
We sit down and have one-to-one conversations all the time. And I can't tell you how many execs leave these convos like, darn, we should have recorded this, or we should have, because this was a really thoughtful conversation and how we challenged each other or how we brought a different perspective would have been great to share. Yeah. We're already doing this in how we operate in business. All that we've done is created kind of a reoccurring way to engineer business development within your flywheel. Okay. So the idea is like your flywheel should accelerate as you go. So where we sit as a multimedia brand is we are the accelerator or the fuel that keeps driving that flywheel forward. Yeah. Because you're already doing these activities. So we strategically attach video podcasting or multimedia content, if you will, if you have to get that word out of your head, to that. Whether you're doing webinars, whether you're going to conferences. So that's one way, I think, thinking about it in your strategy. The other thing is in B2B, our sales cycles are so much longer. We're not selling $5 hairbrushes. We're selling oftentimes six-figure products or tools or contracts. And so the number of touch points that we have to have in our sales cycle and the number of ICPs that we sometimes have in our marketing is more vast.
Explain what an ICP is.
So your ideal customer persona. And so you are oftentimes having to talk to maybe 4 or 5 people within that company to actually get that deal done. And so this works as a sales enablement tool because it kind of equips you with different pieces of content, different thought-leading content that your salespeople can then send and connect and network online with, right?
Well, just even in this conversation that you and I are having about podcasting, I may want to connect with a VP of marketing. That VP of marketing may need to convince the CEO.
Yep.
That a podcast or investing in marketing would be important. There may be a marketing manager or somebody in the field who has all the subject matter expertise for that brand who's like, wait a minute, why do you need some of my time? The podcast, like every discussion can be broken down and little pieces of that entire conversation may appeal to different people or those ICPs, those personas that you need to build a relationship with.
And it shows people a lot about how you do business, who you are, right? And we do business with, you said it, you know, people we know, like, and trust. And that's 100% true. And so by conversationally, someone being able to watch something engaging, help, you know, me talking about the product, talking about how to apply it, a perspective is shaped on the back end. What a lot of people, there's already data that shows before anyone ever engages in your sales process, they do their own online research. And
it's like 90 something percent.
It's insane.
It's a huge number.
It's a huge number. If you don't have any type of content online, like sometimes base layer website, base layer social, if you have no thought leading content online, then the likelihood that you're going to convert basically is way less than your competitors, right? So just you getting out there and creating this multimedia content is going to help in that regard. People, when they do their online research, they're going to see you. And that kind of brings us into the next conversation, which I know you're super passionate about, which is search.
Yeah.
Your content then shows up in Google, YouTube, LLMs, all of that, because people are searching online for the solution. And so there's a massive opportunity with multimedia that doing a podcast kind of just, it hits all areas in one swoop, meaning you sit down, you do a long form conversation that breaks down into audio, video, written content that then hits all these touch points. So, and on top of that, if you do in B2B, a guest driven podcast or interview based podcast like we're doing, you've also hit your networking and your business development at scale. So it really is an engine that helps drive business development as a long-term strategy.
Yeah. Okay. So you're making me wonder if another, I guess, concern that you hear pretty common is, I don't really think our brand is that interesting. I'm not even really sure what we would talk about, right? What could we say that would last 30 minutes or 40 minutes and multiple episodes of 30 or 40 minutes that anyone would possibly be interested in?
Yeah, good point. Yes, I don't think anyone would want to listen to it. And so, you know, that is a common objection. And the reality is most of the time, I'll ask, who are they benchmarking against, right? And it's like, you're looking at Joe Rogan or you're looking at the top podcasters and you're saying they have millions of views. We won't have that. Yeah. And so I go back and, you know, in B2B, the reality is you don't need millions of views. You need 100 to 1,000 of the right people on your content. Yeah. That's the reality. So restructuring the idea of what success looks like in this arena when you're applying it in a B2B way is super critical. And that's kind of how we walk them through that. So we kind of go through the guesting strategy of it, partners, referral partners, your customers, all the areas in which you are able to get 100 to 1,000 of the right people consistently tuning in and seeing you as the authority and the number of opportunities that open up from that.
Right. I think, you know, even to get into the weeds a little bit, it's what are the common things you get asked over and over so that if you had them answered in a recorded episode that can be shared at scale by your salespeople. What are the things that you wish people knew about your brand or the way that you do business or the way that your customer service team works? You know, these are differentiators for your brand that can often be really challenging to show or prove before somebody is doing business with you. And I think a podcast gives brands a great platform to show off some of those more soft or touchy-feely elements of a brand that are harder to just list on a website.
Yeah,
right?
It's also nuances. Like a lot of our customers come in with really like technical products. And it's like, no, when you go to these industry specific conferences, you see the 100 to 1,000 people who are very deep in your industry. The way that you talk about something, the way you show up, the little affinity pieces you have on your shelf, the things that we really relate to other people with and we don't realize we do, all of those things show up in multimedia and help people along that buying decision of you're for me because you like this too, you know? And it's important. I mean, you can't negate it in sales. That is part of why people choose you. You either get rungs forward into the yes or rungs towards the no. And it certainly helps when people feel like you align on what you sell, how you sell it, your goals. And then the plus is, hey, I like to work with you too because we like similar things or we talk about similar things.
Exactly. It's a different way to get to know someone in addition to understanding if they have that technical expertise or industry expertise. It's like, well, now I see what it would be like to sit in a meeting with them and get to know them and communicate with them and understand them. And I mean, communication is so important. The B2B space, knowing that you're working with a vendor or a partner or someone that you're going into business with that you feel comfortable with. I mean, that is a differentiator for a lot of B2B brands, whether they want to believe it or not. It is. Are you easy to do business with? Do you seem like you would be easy to work with? Do you seem like you would be easy for me to talk to? Does it seem like I would have an easy time picking up the phone if I had something to complain about or talk through with you? It just helps your approachability. And so I might have invented a new word there, but you know, I think those are, again, like softer things that are very hard to measure.
Thank you for listening to B2B Marketing Methods. Please be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast channel and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you and connect. You can find me on LinkedIn or visit our company website at marketingrefresh.com.